CEO of Family Policy Institute of Washington.
And I'm Brad Payne, president of FPIW Action.
A couple of disclaimers before we get started. Nothing in this video is to be taken as an endorsement of the candidate, nor the candidate's endorsement of FPIW, nor FPIW Action. It's simply a meet and greet, an opportunity for us to understand the views of the candidate. One last thing is that this will be pre-recorded and placed on several of our platforms. Brad?
All right. Well, Judge, welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So my first question is kind of generic and simple. If you would state your name and the position you're running for, and then just introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit about your family.
So I'm Judge Dave Larson. I'm running for Supreme Court position 2. I've been a judge for 16 years. I was a trial lawyer for 23 years before that. I have 4 grandchildren and 2 sons. One's a physician and one's a police officer, and then a daughter-in-law that's also a physician, and then a daughter-in-law that's a dispatcher. But she's taking care of kids right now. She's working from home as supporting personnel and everything for KitCom in Kittitas County.
Excellent. What would you say is motivating you to run for this position?
Well, probably my kids and grandkids, and mainly because we're in a state now where it's you have to step up. You have to step up and try to make a difference in terms of changing the path we've been on. We're on a path of where we're really destroying our form of government, freedom, that type of thing.
All right. Well, I'm going to dovetail off of that. We've been asking, of course, legislators for their agendas. Yours is a little different in that I understand there's not an agenda, but maybe you could touch upon, if I'm going to word this right, a couple issues or concerns that you have that
Okay.
That you.
Well, really, what it comes down to, there's a couple things the Supreme Court does. One is where they may actually make decisions, where most people pay attention to, and then the other is the administrative part, the fact that they're the prow of the ship of the court. So when it comes to the decisions, I think there needs to be some viewpoint diversity. There's right now, I mean, it's not like it's a personal thing or anything else. And many of the justices impose their personal opinion. The law should dictate the result. The result shouldn't dictate the law. And right now we have situations, and there's been cases in the last few weeks where the justices are kind of almost getting the result they want versus following the law. And it's very tough sometimes to be a judge because you have to follow the law regardless of what outcome you want. It has to be the outcome that's supported by the law. On the second part of it, the administrative part, in our communities, as you just have to wake up in the morning and realize, and look at a couple reports and realize we're having problems with in our cities with petty crime, addiction, mental illness, homelessness, those type of things. The Supreme Court speaks out on a number of things, has commissions on a number of things, but is completely silent on this issue. We do not have a unified court system, so we need to have leadership at the top that kind of helps us with a unified strategy that brings us together, that really where we can actually solve problems. I have made progress myself. I've written several papers. I've gotten legislation passed. Have developed common sense solutions that if we implemented it statewide, we'd make a lot of progress. In fact, probably help a lot to screen out the people that truly need help and get them help, and they'll never come back. And then what that does is identifies people that are actually just criminals that will come back regardless. And that's when the punitive system kicks in. So there's other things too, but most of it has to do with the way the court system runs and trying to lead us to a path where we're actually fulfilling our true purpose of being a peacekeeping branch of government, not creating more problems sometimes, especially in the area of family law, where we sometimes, when people get through a family law situation, we create more controversy and conflict than we need to.
Excellent. And our fourth and final question, I would say, and you can kind of pick from this, maybe from the Constitution, how do you view the Constitution? Maybe you can look at accountability and how do you see that? And then finally, what's the greatest need from the judicial system across our state?
Okay, so how do I view the Constitution? The Constitution is kind of the foundation. I was explaining to somebody today, actually, that if you can imagine the Constitution being a tree trunk, and the laws being the branches, and then regulations being the leaves, right? You don't put an oak tree branch on a pine tree. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't put a oak tree leaf on a pine on a branch. So the idea is the Constitution has to be the starting point upon which you then form laws and regulations. And if they don't fit the Constitution, then obviously they're unconstitutional. But my fear today is that it may be on paper, but do we truly believe the underlying beliefs that support it? And I spoke to a group a few weeks ago and cited a foreign constitution that had free speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. And I asked which country it was, and people didn't know, and it was communist China. So the bottom line is that just because it's in words doesn't mean it's reality. Today we had a case come out from the Supreme Court that had to do with a person asserting their faith as a reason to get reasonable accommodation at work. The court decided that case without mentioning the First Amendment or Article 1, Section 11 of our own state constitution, which protects religious freedom. So it didn't even mention the Constitution on a religious issue where the state was the employer firing the person. And it definitely applies. And they didn't mention it. So what was the next part of that question?
Just overall, no, that's good. Just overall, our judicial system, what are you seeing? And you kind of addressed it in your answer, but.
Well, the thing is, one of the reasons I'm running is that really, right now there's 205 judges at the Superior Court, Court of Appeals, and Supreme Court level. 170 now. Just the other day, the 170th judge was appointed by the governor out of 205, and there's been only about 30 contested elections, which means one person has selected 140 of the 205 judges in our state. And once they're become an incumbent, then they're difficult to beat. This is an open seat this year, which is an opportunity for the people themselves to pick. First time in 12 years, where the people get to pick. But as far as the needs of the judiciary, we need to get back to our fundamental purpose. We need to turn the mirror on ourselves and really ask whether we're serving that purpose of being a peacekeeping branch of government, of keeping society moving forward, or whether we're actually contributing to some issues that are making society less functional.
All right.
Very good. Well, thank you, Judge. We appreciate your time. We know you got a very, very busy schedule, and we just really appreciate the effort you took to join us. And thank you for your thoughtful answers. We appreciate that, and we wish you much luck in these last couple of weeks of campaigning before the primary. And
appreciate it very much, very much.
Very good. Well, I'm Brad Payne with FPIW Action.
And I'm Brian Noble with FPIW. A simple reminder that nothing in this video is an endorsement of the candidate, nor the candidate's endorsement of FPIW, nor FPIW action. Like we like to say around here, love your neighbor by faithfully stewarding the public square. God bless.